What is up, everyone? I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. To give you a quick intro, I am Felipe and I am a partner at DFImeets.com, where we help 7- and 8-figure agencies grow their pipeline consistently and predictably with cold email. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what are all of the tips and tricks and all of the advanced deliverability management methods that we implement at DFI meetings that you can implement yourself to get better results using Smartlead.ai. Smartlead team, thank you so much again for having us, and let's dive straight into it. Now, here's the thing. If we want to manage deliverability properly, we have to first understand what matters the most. It's kind of like if you want to properly bake a cake, and you first need to know what are the ingredients that you need. And also, you need to know which ingredients you cannot cheap out on. There are things that are more important than others, and in this video, I'm going to break them all to you in a very easy to understand manner. So that being said, the most important thing that we need to know in cold email is what are the frameworks and what are the lenses that we need to look through in order to assess things effectively and accurately. And so here is your hero. Literally, this is going to be the first framework that we're going to break down. It's called a hero framework. This is something I implemented in all of our companies in order to improve our deliverability. And honestly, this has been the single framework I looked through for the last 7 years to figure out all of our cold email deliverability problems. And so here it is. And it goes in order of priority. The first one matters the most, and the last one doesn't matter the least, but it matters less than the first one. And I'm going to break this down for you. So the single most important thing when it comes to cold email and getting great deliverability will come down to a highly relevant offer. We have clients where we literally can do things wrong deliberately. We can bounce high. We can send even bad copy sometimes. We can even have bad email accounts that weren't set up properly, and we still land primary inbox and have a very high reply rate. Why? Because their offer is just so good, so in demand, and so believable. So yes, now you know, those are the 3 pillars of a highly relevant offer. What does this mean? What is a great offer? Let me give you a few examples. A great offer would be an offer that saves a lot of money, that makes a lot of money, that saves a lot of time, that is done for you, meaning you don't have to lift a finger to get any type of results, and etc. There's a lot of things that you can do in order to make an offer great. But now here's the next caveat. Is it believable? Do they think, the prospects, that you are the person that can actually deliver this offer? And if so, then yes. Now we're going on to the last final piece of this puzzle, which is it relevant? Do they need it now? Right? So the best example I could give you for this is, imagine if you were selling the cure of cancer to people that have cancer, but don't know about it. Will they buy? Probably not. They don't think they have it. Why would they want it? Unless they want to resell it to someone else that they think would have, they wouldn't want it, right? So the offer is great. It might be believable. It might be the best doctor on earth, but if they don't know that they have cancer, they wouldn't buy this offer from you. And therefore, when we look at cold email, we want to look at what are the companies that could reach out to you that would find this relevant at this time. Give you an example. Let's say you're selling accounting services. When is the best time of the year for you to reach out to them? Perhaps closer to tax season, when it is top of mind, when it is the time that you're like, hey, maybe I should be saving more on legal loopholes. I don't know. This is not financial advice for you, by the way. But therefore, that would be a better timing for you to be reaching out to a lot of companies. But it could also be if you're seeing that companies are looking to recruit an accountant, or companies that are posting about taxes online. So you could find other ways to add relevancy into your campaigns. But these are the three ingredients that you need in order to make a highly relevant offer. Great. Improve exactly what you're offering. Believable. Make sure that when you're sharing it, you show case studies that are actually trustworthy. Make sure that your offer is presented in a way that comes across as trustworthy. You don't just promise a million things all at once, because that honestly doesn't sound too legit. And then we're going to talk later, but things like your website will matter. The way that you present this offer, the way that you are Googleable will affect how people believe or don't believe your offer. Okay. So that is step number 1. If you're curious about what offers you should be selling or how you should improve this, drop a comment down below. We could record another video just on offers, and that would be a very fun one. But let's continue. For the sake of this, let's continue on deliverability. The next most important thing when it comes to deliverability, again in order of priority, is going to be what we call expensive horizontal scale. Emphasis on horizontal. You got to become what we call a hydra. What would be a hydra would be like this beast of multiple heads, and if you chop one head off, another 2 just come out, right? There is no getting rid of this hydra. Unless you burn it apart, you're just not getting rid of it. And this is what we want to do in cold email. What does it actually mean? It means that we want to set up a lot of email accounts, important, fully disconnected from one another, and send very low volume from them. Okay, what does this mean? So for example, let's say you want to set up 20 email accounts to send cold email from. What you want to be doing is make sure they're not tied to one another, right? You don't buy all of them in one admin panel. You don't buy all of the domain, or you don't set up all of them under one domain, or in any way, shape, or form, you connect them. Even if you can, and this is what we do, and we can teach you how as well, you want to disconnect all of the IPs. But if you're using Smartlead for this and you're using the DFY service, well, you don't have to worry about this. They're diversifying for you. But if you're doing this yourself, and let's say you're using Google and Microsoft, you need to diversify these accounts right, so they're not all connected to you or to a reseller that can mess up your reputation as a cold email sender. But not only that, let's cover the last piece. Send very low volume from each. So what does that mean? It means that if we want to trick cold email filters, we need to understand how they're looking at your emails. And one of the ways that spam is defined by blacklists, by email service providers, is that you are a bulk sender that sends unsolicited emails. That's the formula. Those two things have to be true at once. Bulk emails and unsolicited emails. So if you want to break the definition of spam and land more in primary inbox, we do it by first, not sending emails in bulk, or apparently not sending in bulk. This is called snowshoeing, which is setting up a lot of email accounts and sending low volume from each of them, and they're not connected to one another, so they cannot figure out that you're sending a lot of emails in bulk. We're going to talk about the content aspect of this in a second, but from the email account perspective, you have a lot of email accounts. And now the volume, why less volume per email account? It is not only because of bulk, it's also because of you getting flagged. So one thing that will happen is email service providers will get smart around this type of strategies, and they will understand that you can create a lot of email accounts, that you're smart enough to diversify all of them. But then they're going to start tracking your content. They're going to try to fingerprint the things that you're sending in order to identify that it is you behind all of these accounts. So therefore, we need to also diversify our content, which is going to be the next principle I'm going to break down to you. But right before we move on, I just want to tell you about the client that we had that had what we call the worst offer on earth. This gentleman, shout out to him, was selling Canva posts with stock photos to businesses out there for $700 a month. And you might ask, who on earth would buy that in an era when you have AI that can do photos for you, or you can even like pay someone very cheaply to create this type of content that is not generic? And I'll answer that. It is one person out of 1,250 precisely that we contacted. And therefore, what we did for this gentleman is set up 1,000 email accounts and contact 30,000 new people a day, and book 20 to 25 calls a day consistently for months. I cannot give away the gentleman's name because he's out there, but keep that in mind. You can a lot of times combat not having a highly relevant offer with just sheer volume from a lot of email accounts connected from one another. And the next principle, which is you got to become a ninja. You got to become impossible to catch. What does it mean? It means the following. Whenever email service providers are trying to find spammers, they're looking for patterns. So what you want to do is the removal of. And how do you accomplish that? It's very simple. Again, diversify your email accounts, where you get them from, how they are set up, what they're connected to, all of those things. Make sure all of that is diversified. Then diversify your content through launching multiple email variations in every campaign that you launch. We're going to talk more about that. Adding spin syntax, which is rotating the words inside the script with very simple code inside Smartlead, which great feature, by the way. We'll tell you more about that soon too. And overall, just changing the times that you send emails, the minimum waiting time between each email, meaning that you wait different amounts of times before you send in the next email. And so you just want to combine all of those things in order to become a ninja. That's the third principle. Fourth principle would be outstanding reputation. This one is very simple. If you want to be doing all of these things, this is part of becoming believable, if you will. You also need to make sure that you're passing the easier barriers, which is, what is the reputation of this account? And that is something that you improve with warm-up. So Smartlead's warm-up is a fantastic tool to accomplish that. We're going to talk more about that as well in this video. But you want to make sure that you have warm-up going on. You want domain age, which, by the way, bare minimum 14 days is like the bare minimum. If you could wait a month for a domain to age, you will see better deliverability already. Then it's going to be the score. How often does this domain get reported as a spammer, or how often this domain bounces emails, or what has been the history of this domain? And you want to think of your domain like a pen, right? Like a pencil, sorry. So every time you want to sharpen a pencil, it can write quite the same, but it's never the same length. Right? Meaning that the next time, like, it keeps getting smaller and smaller until like this domain just can't keep going. And this is the way you want to look at it. If you have a domain that has been burned in the past, yes, you can recover, but every time you're just like reduce the size of your pencil, and at some point it's just going to disappear, right? And so you can't force it through, and therefore rotating your inbox is a good practice that we're going to talk about as well. Okay? And the last one, and this is something I know people hate to hear, because it used to be the case that years ago, if you just had a good offer and you sent cold emails, it would work really well. Nowadays, what we're noticing across the board is that companies that stand out, or people that have a personal brand, people or companies that are Googleable, tend to work the best, tend to perform the absolute best when it comes to cold email. And therefore, this is something you do want to work on. You do want to have a good website that's presentable, that has good case studies if you already have them. Or you just want to be Googleable in some way, shape, or form, post content. You want to be out there. You want to validate people that this great offer right here has something behind, has someone that can deliver on them. And so this is extremely important. We had clients that we onboarded at once with the same offer, reaching out to the same audiences, that they asked us to compete against each other. And the one that had a personal brand absolutely destroyed the other. And this didn't happen once, it happened multiple times. So yes, you want to be Googleable, you want to have a good website, you want to present your offer in a very believable way. Now, let's get into more nitty-gritty stuff. Like, this is all very cool and nice on the surface, so how do we implement this? Let's look at how to best leverage Smartlead.ai. So first one, inbox rotation. If you're using Smartlead, you should be using Smart servers, you should be using their DFY services, and you should be setting up accounts yourself to be fully diversified. And now what you should do is batch the accounts that you add to campaigns. Launch a campaign, put one tag, one batch of accounts in that campaign. The moment that you notice that deliverability is going down and you're having a few issues, you swap it around. You put another batch of accounts to be sending, and you put the previous batch back in the warm-up. Again, it's a pencil. It doesn't like just disappear all at once. It's not like your domain is just gone for good. You can recover it with proper warm-up. And we're going to talk about that in the next strategy. But continuing on inbox rotation, you want to make sure you have batches to swap around. That is one of the easiest ways for you to fix deliverability. Now, I'll be very honest with you. We have not burnt a single email account in the past year and a half. And it's because of this rotation method that we use. Now, bear in mind as well that we only work with very good offers in our companies. And therefore, that helps a lot with not burning a lot of email accounts, because we don't have a very high spam complaint rate. We follow through very well on removing people that wanted to be unsubscribed and all of those things. We don't send a lot of follow-up. So we have strategies in place not to burn a lot of domains. But part of the strategy, the most important part, is inbox rotation. We keep on swapping them around, okay? So in summary, create a bunch of batches, set up in multiple different platforms, completely disconnected from one another. And then here's something extremely important. You want to set up a seesaw warm-up management technique. This is something we introduced 2 years ago, and it works tremendously well. Here's what it is. When you warm up your accounts for the first time, let's think of it this way. You're warming up your accounts for the first time. So let's say you're ramping up your volume to 40 emails per day. So you start 4 emails, 8 emails, 12 emails, 16 until you get to 40, right? And you have on average, if you're setting it up right, 30 to 40% reply rates. Very cool, right? What happens is after that, a lot of companies either reduce the volume of warm-up dramatically or stop warm-up, and they launch cold email campaigns. But here's the deal. What is the best reply rate you're gonna get on a bulk campaign that's not too personalized? 10%, 15%? Like on average at scale? If you're good, if your offer is good, you will definitely. Now, look at that. Your reply rate consistently has been from 40%, let's say on the warm-up, to now drop to 10%. And if you're getting some replies from the warm-up, well, you're seeing like 12, 15%. Your reply rate just got a hit. So imagine your Google and Microsoft observing this email account. It once had a good reputation and now it has a bad reputation. What happened? And well, then they start punishing this account further. So how do you hack the system? You do what we call a seesaw method. If you're going to add emails to the campaign, you reduce, don't eliminate, reduce the emails in the warm-up, but with a higher reply rate to compensate. So let's say you need to get a 30% reply rate on 50 emails. That's what you're doing in the warm-up. What you got to do now is you got to figure out what is the reply rate from the campaign, how many replies I get per day. Let's say I get 2, and then you got to figure out how do I get all of the other replies from the warm-up. So if you need to get 15 for every 50 emails that you send, and you get 2 from the campaign, you need 13 from the warm-up. So you send 13 emails in the warm-up with 100% of a reply rate, for example. So that is how you do what is called a seesaw warm-up management technique. If you have questions about this, or if you want to see the exact settings that we use in our company, drop a comment down below. We'll be happy to share that with you. But this is extremely important. This is how you don't burn accounts. This is how you increase the longevity of your accounts and their reputation. Okay? Let's continue. Next one, bulletproof campaign strategy. So here's what you want to do. Remember that you want to be a ninja and you want to be untrackable. They cannot skip trace you. They cannot find you. And so the way that you do that is, one, you want to launch multiple campaigns with multiple different cold email copy, right? So you want to write different scripts for different campaigns and launch them all at once. You want these campaigns to have different minimum waiting times across the day. So for example, one campaign sends in the morning every 15 minutes and another one sends in the evening every 20 minutes. Now you have this variance of like, okay, so this one sends from 9 to, let's say 11, and this other one sends from 1 to 5, and they wait different minimum waiting times. Now it all of a sudden looks like, wow, there is no clear pattern. It's not a machine doing this. So you're gonna have random additional time and minimum waiting time, and you wanna be swapping those numbers around very often. If you're advanced, definitely use the API from Smartlead to get this done for you. Highly recommend doing that. If you're not, and you just want to get this done, well, just go into campaigns. Once in the morning, once in the evening, keep swapping things around every time that you can, okay? Next, a lot of copy variations. I already said that on multiple campaigns, but what you also want to do is every time you add a lot of copy, you also want to add a lot of spin syntax. What does it look like? Here's what spin syntax looks like in Smartlead. Let's say you want to say, hey, first name. You could instead say, hey, hi, and hello, first name, right? When you add characters like this between this curly brackets, you're effectively telling Smartlead to choose one of these words every time it sends an email. Now, if you add enough variations of these inside every single email that you launch, well, all of a sudden you have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of email variations right there and then. So now it's a lot harder for companies like Google and Microsoft to fingerprint you, to find you and skip trace you, right? And this is very important. You need to have it. It's mandatory nowadays, and you want to add as much as possible, including in your signature. This is one thing that a lot of companies skip, and they come to us and we consult them on, and it's like, hey, they use the same signature across 20 different campaigns and they launch a lot of volume, and all of the campaigns literally die all at once. And we're like, guys, start spin texting your signature, and all of a sudden they start seeing results again. That's usually not the only thing that we implement for them, but that is one of the things that is indeed important, is removing all sorts of fingerprints. Okay? Next one. Time zone matching. Why is this important? Because when are you in the office? Either during the day, or if you're a hustler, during the night. So you want to control when you're reaching people. If you send campaigns worldwide, you just want to match your time zone. Smartlead, because it's a great tool, has a feature that does that for you. So make sure you go ahead and you implement that. Extremely important. Next one, overall settings. Just a few things that are important to notice that I will mention from our campaigns. Okay? We do not track email opens, because it's like as if you want to invite people to a party and you send a few ladders out. Do you care if people open the ladder or if they come to the party? I care if they come to the party, to be very honest with you. I want to know follow through, right? Now, of course, if I'm noticing no one's come to the party, then I want to figure out if they even got the mail in the first place. But then I'm looking at deliverability, and not if people open the ladder. So I look at the same way when it comes to cold email. We don't track email opens. We find it to hurt our deliverability and not help at all with figuring out what is working best. Because even when it comes to subject lines, a lot of times I find subject lines that perform better than others, but I get a lower reply rate because they were just a little bit more catchy. So overall, we don't track it, don't recommend tracking. We also don't track link clicks. Couldn't care less, we don't put many links in our emails, although we do put sometimes calendar links, still do to this day, still works very well. Despite what people say, they're like, oh, you gotta ask a soft call to action. No, you don't. We have campaigns reaching out to very saturated markets with links, and they perform the absolute best, and we have a very high book meeting rate doing that. So you can still do it as long as you become a ninja. You gotta rotate your links. You cannot send the same link every single time. Important. Next, my notes on ESP matching. ESP matching is the whole provider matching idea that if you send from Google to Google, you get better deliverability. If you send Microsoft to Microsoft, you get better deliverability. And although it sounds very great, it goes against the incentives from these companies. If you're someone that is doing IT or like security management in Microsoft and you want to avoid spam, do you care if it comes from another Microsoft account or another Google more than you care about the content that's inside, more than you care about the reputation of that account, more than you care about everything else that is important? Maybe a little bit. That is not the most important thing. And we see a lot of people out there just popularize the whole thing that you got to track this weekly and they get better results with one email provider than another and This keeps on changing. This is a roller coaster. One week Gmail is better, another week Outlook is better. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So you just use all of them, and across the board, you track which ones are performing the best, push more volume on those until they stop performing the best, then push more volume on another one. That is why you need to be diversified. And the whole thing on provider matching, we don't do, because a lot of times it also throttles your sending, and so we don't. And what we do is just use all of the platforms all at once and monitor the results across the board, and then optimize based on that. Cool. Next one. Want to more than double your results with Smartlead.ai? Here are a few notes that will definitely help you. Number one, validate leads and remove bad and max records. So first of all, if you're validating leads with platforms like Apollo.io, which by the way can be a very good platform, if you're validating with just Zoom, if you're validating just with Crunchbase, well, you're not actually properly validating in real time. And so you will find that a lot of those emails will bounce, and whenever they are hard bounces, it can hurt a lot your reputation, especially if it is a new domain that you're using in a campaign. So make sure that you're validating leads, or triple validating leads even sometimes if you're having a high bounce rate. The platforms that we use for that is one, of course, we use Smartlead, we use Lead Magic, and we use Million Verifier. You want to double check or triple check sometimes all of the emails that you have in your campaigns in order not to bounce high and in order to make sure that those emails actually exist. Important. Next one, we remove bad and max records. Or for some clients that really need to reach out to them because they reach out to only very big companies like Fortune 1000, then we just segment them better. So what would be a bad and max record? First, let me tell you what a max record is. So imagine like this. You want to send a package from New York to California. When you do that, you go to the post office, you give them the package, and they transport it for you. In email, it's the same thing. If you want to send a message to a domain, it goes to the domain tells you the carrier to bring it to the person's inbox or spam folder. And this person that brings it over can sometimes be Google, Microsoft, or have a third-party provider that will check for spam, such as, let me name a few, Mimecast, Barracuda, Proofpoint, etc. Okay, there's a bunch of them. Look them up out there. They're on the internet. If you're curious about them and you don't know where to find them, drop a comment. I'm also happy to tell you all of them. But we remove all of them or isolate them in different campaigns. Why? Because it's very, very easy for you to launch these and then to destroy your deliverability, because these companies definitely want to stop spam. And if your content isn't really precisely crafted around them filtering it, well, you're gonna find yourself in spam hell. And it doesn't last forever, I'll be honest with you. You can recover if you hit one of these MX records and they mass reported you, but you just don't want to deal with that. So we remove them or isolate them, and I recommend you doing the same. Next one, you can definitely double your lead rate if you're just exporting data out of Apollo nowadays. I have zero beefs with Apollo. We use Apollo to this day. We use all of the providers out there, but we use Apollo still. And one of the things that we noticed is that a lot of the websites in Apollo don't even load, or they are not the right criteria. So they're not within our ICP, although the categorization was set to be our criteria and it wasn't. A lot of them don't have MX records, or it finds people that are no longer working in those companies, are already retired, or the wrong title to talk to. And if you want to improve, double, triple your lead rate, all you have to do is improve ICP checking on the website and on the person. Do that with validated leads with no MX records. This might as well just already double your lead rate. And because not only now you're engaging people that can actually get your offer and they're receiving it, you're also getting better engagement, which now will improve your deliverability even further. So strongly suggest doing this. It's important. Next, replying within the same thread without CCing. The moment you get a reply from a prospect, I strongly suggest that you reply from the same thread without CCing your main account. Why? Again, you want to avoid any type of fingerprinting or any cognitive dissonance. You don't want to go from being one person in one domain to now a new person in another domain. That can trigger this cognitive dissonance and get prospects to stray away. So I don't recommend doing that. Next, deliverability placement tasks, always before and after running cold email campaigns. In Smartlead, we automated this completely using their API. So before you launch a campaign, always test your copy, see if it is landing well, adapt anything you need to adapt before you launch. And after you finish a campaign, run another inbox task to see if emails are disappearing. So if you notice that you're sending a lot of emails out in this placement task and they're not coming through, you know you have a problem with your accounts and they need more warm-up. Put them back in the warm-up, let them recover, let them age a little bit more, and then you bring them back into the campaign. Inbox rotation. Last, some rapid-fire cold email tips, and we're gonna move on. First names in short subject lines, 10 short perform most subject lines, small tip. Next, don't launch generic ChatGPT generated cold email scripts. Please don't. A lot of companies ask us for consulting and we look at their scripts, and the first thing I ask is, was this GPT generated? And they go, yeah. So I'm like, don't. Literally, just remove them. They don't work. A lot of times they get flagged by spam filters, and overall, people are already catching up on them. Now, if you're great at AI, you know how to properly prompt engineer, you know how to properly train your AI, and all of those things, then yes, go ahead. But if you're just asking GPT, create a Colima script for this, well, I don't recommend using just that. Make it not sound robotic, okay? And last, this is really important, do not add any bad, ingenuine, or irrelevant personalized lines. A lot of companies, especially now using Clay, they are trying to add personalization and force personalization in their campaigns, and they're noticing that they're getting lower and lower reply rates by the day. Because what is more important than personalization is having a great, believable, relevant offer. Personalization is great. It will help you have a better lead rate, but not at the cost of destroying this. Because if you put a bad personalized line, it will take away from the believability that you are even competent enough to deliver your offer. So don't. All right? This is it, guys. If you have not signed up yet to Smartlead, please go ahead and do that now. They are absolutely great. We use them a lot. And I am looking very forward to sharing more deliverability insight with you next time. If you have any questions, drop them in the questions down below. Happy to answer them. And have a great rest of your day. Peace.